Welcome to the deep dive. We've gathered all that material you sent over, the articles, notes, all that research, and we're here to pull out the really key insights for you. Think of it as, your fast track to getting up to speed on a really interesting subject. Today, we are digging deep into what all these sources say about, a really common sticking point for language learners. How you can stop translating in your head all the time and actually start thinking directly in English. Does this ring a bell? You've studied, you learn the vocabulary, you kind of get the grammar, but then when you actually need to speak, it's like your brain just, freezes up. You feel stuck, like you're running every single word through a mental translator first from your own language into English, and it's slow, right?
Yeah, it feels unnatural, maybe a bit robotic sometimes.
Exactly, and it's so frustrating, that whole feeling of, I know the word, why can't I say it? Mm-hmm. That's really the core issue this material digs into. But the really exciting part, the promise that runs through all these sources, is that learning to think directly in English, it's a total game changer.
It really is.
Fluent speakers just do it, apparently without thinking about it. And this material argues that if you learn this habit, your fluency could just, skyrocket. So that's our mission today, to really unpack what thinking in English actually means, why it feels so hard sometimes, and crucially, what concrete steps the material lays out so you can start building this habit. Okay, let's get into it.
Yeah, and what's really striking right from the start in this material is this fundamental point it makes. Mm-hmm. You just can't speak fluently what you don't think fluently.
Right.
If you're always translating inside your head, your brain is basically playing catch-up. It's always a step behind the actual conversation.
Okay. That explains that lag, that hesitation.
Exactly. That feeling of words being right there, but took that a reach. The research connects it straight back to that internal translation process. It really explains why it feels so, slow and awkward. And the implication, the so what, is pretty huge. The material really argues strongly that when you start shifting that internal process, when you begin to think directly in English, even really simple thoughts.
Yeah.
It just changes everything about how your English works.
Yeah.
Fluency doesn't just creep up. It can apparently take these big leaps forward.
Because you're removing that bottleneck.
Precisely. You've taken out that constant internal barrier.
Okay, but then the obvious question, which the material tackles, is, what does it really mean then to think in English? It's got to be more than just knowing a bunch of words.
Well, absolutely. It's about the actual, the process of forming the thought itself using English ideas, English structures, right from the get-go.
Right.
And this is where the material gets, pretty blunt. One section calls it the real talk.
Okay.
The hard truth it presents is that fluency doesn't just come from, passively studying vocabulary lists or memorizing grammar rules. That helps, but it's not the whole picture.
Uh-huh.
You get fluent by using the language. And crucially, that includes using it inside your own head, even when you're totally silent.
So the internal practice matters just as much.
Immensely. According to this material, it's a key reason why lots of learners feel stuck.
Yeah.
Even after years of classes, they've got the input, they know the rules, but they haven't actually trained their brain for the output.
Yeah.
We're generating thoughts spontaneously in English. They understand it perfectly fine, but panic when it's time to speak because that mental pathway just hasn't been built.
And, one thing in the notes that really jumped out at me was how it busts this myth. It calls it a dangerous myth.
Which one?
The idea that you need, perfect grammar before you can even try to speak, let alone think in English.
Oh, yeah. That's a big one.
The material is super clear. Waiting for perfect grammar before you start trying to think in English, that actually holds you back. Big time.
Totally.
You absolutely do not need flawless grammar to start building this thinking habit. Wow. That feels freeing, actually.
It's a huge mindset shift, isn't it?
Yeah.
It suggests you don't wait to be fluent to start thinking. You start thinking in order to become fluent.
Right.
Now, obviously, changing a lifelong habit like mental translation, that's a process. It's not flipping a switch.
Sure.
It takes training, conscious effort, like learning anything new, really an instrument, a sport.
Yeah.
You have to practice to make it automatic.
Okay. But the good news from the material seems to be that the techniques it talks about, they're supposed to work for anyone. Like beginner, advanced, doesn't matter.
That's what it claims, yeah.
Yeah.
And it suggests starting really, really small. Maybe just like 2 minutes a day to begin building the habit.
2 minutes, that feels doable for pretty much anyone.
It does, right. And the research notes make this interesting comparison to how kids learn to think in a new language when they're, immersed in it. Now, adults learn differently, of course, but the basic idea holds. And what's cool is how it shows you can kind of create your own immersion.
Inside your head.
Exactly, inside your own mind. You don't necessarily need to pack your bags and move. You can build that internal English environment right where you are.
Okay, I'm sold on the why, and then it's possible. So,
Yeah.
how? How do we actually do this? What are the practical steps outlined in the sources?
Oh, okay, yeah. This is where it gets very practical. The material describes a system, and a core part is what it calls the 3-stage method for building this thinking habit.
3 stages.
Stage 1 is called the foundation, naming and labeling.
Right.
This is all about making a direct link, English word, to the thing itself or the idea, skipping your native language completely.
Cutting out the middleman.
Totally. And it starts super simple, just identifying everyday things around you, objects, colors, simple actions you see.
Right.
Like look around the room right now, you just think chair, desk, window, green, typing, listening, direct connection, word concept.
Okay. Start basic, name your world in English. Got it. What's stage 2?
Stage 2 builds on that. It's called the mirror stage, self-talk and mental practice.
Mirror stage.
So you move from single words to simple phrases and sentences. And they're about your immediate experience. You basically narrate what you're doing, seeing, feeling in real time.
Ah, like a running commentary in your head.
Pretty much, even if it's silent. The examples are things like thinking, I'm drinking water, or I'm walking to the kitchen, I feel tired, I see a bus. Simple internal sentences about your own reality using English.
Got it. Narrate your own life internally. Makes sense. And the final stage, the goal.
Stage 3 is the fluent flow. Internal conversations. This is the more advanced level.
Yeah.
Here you start actually having little conversations with yourself in English, in your head.
Like asking yourself questions.
Exactly. Asking questions, answering them. You start using it for like daily reflection. What should I do later? Or weighing simple decisions. Should I call them now or email? Processing slightly more complex thoughts. All internally, all in English. It's about using English for that abstract thinking and internal chat.
Right. So it's definitely a progression. You don't jump straight to internal debates. You build up.
Absolutely. The material really stresses that. You move through the stages, build the habit gradually, start where you are, expand slowly.
And did the sources mention other ways to support building this habit?
Yeah, a few other ideas came up. It suggests things like maybe doing a short, focused 7-day challenge just to kickstart things.
Intensive start.
Kind of.
Yeah.
And it recommends journaling in English, not necessarily long essays, but just writing down thoughts as a way to practice forming them.
Turning internal into written.
Okay.
And also finding small mental exercises you can do even when you're tired. Quick practice moments.
And I remember seeing something about guided thinking practice, almost like an audio guide for your thoughts.
Yes. Like prompting you to think through everyday scenarios. Okay, you're making breakfast. What are you doing? What do you see? Think it in English.
Right.
It really drives home that this needs to be active internal work, not just passive listening or reading.
Okay, so if you do all this, what are the benefits? What does the material say happens? Well, the payoff described is pretty significant. They say, once you get the hang of thinking in English, first off, you respond faster in conversations. That translation delay, gone.
Dang.
You start sounding more natural, less hesitant, less robotic. Vocabulary recall gets quicker because you're constantly using the words internally.
Makes sense.
That fear, that panic of getting stuck, it starts to fade. And probably the biggest one, you build real, genuine confidence.
Confidence from doing it, not just knowing it.
Exactly. Confidence that comes from actually using English to process your thoughts day in, day out. Which links right back to those goals you probably have, right? Fluency, speed, just feeling comfortable speaking.
Yeah, absolutely. So really, if we boil it down, the main message from all this material you shared is fluency isn't just about what you study externally. It's really powered by this internal habit.
That's the core of it.
And you don't need perfect grammar to start. You don't need to live in London or New York. You just need to, train your brain.
Train your brain to think directly in English. And the material offers a roadmap for how to start doing that.
So what's the bottom line for you listening? It means maybe the key to feeling truly fluent and at ease in English isn't just about finding the perfect app or class. It might be more about building this really powerful, consistent mental habit, something you can literally start doing right now wherever you are.
Yeah, perhaps the simplest, but maybe the most profound idea in the material is just this. Your fluency. It lives inside your thoughts. Your thoughts create your words. So if you change how you think, if you intentionally start thinking in English, your spoken English, your external communication, it will naturally shift and improve to match.
And as a little bonus, the material even gives some really practical, easy starting points, like daily thinking prompts to just get the ball rolling.
Oh, yeah. Maybe.
Simple things, like just asking yourself, okay, what am I going to do today? Or how do I feel right now? Or what do I need to remember for later? What's something I learned yesterday? Or even just, how would I describe this room I'm sitting in right now?
Just little nudges to get that internal English engine running.
Exactly. Easy ways to start the habit today. So the call to action from these sources is pretty clear. Don't just wait for fluency to magically appear. Build it. Train it. Think it.
Which leaves us with a final thought, maybe something for you to chew on. If deliberately training your internal thinking process can impact your spoken English this much, how else might actively shaping how you think, the quality, the structure, the language of your internal world, how else might that influence your ability to connect with people, to share your ideas, to communicate effectively out there in the world using English? Is it, well, something to think about? Maybe start thinking about it. In English, of course.